Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel of Bound Secrets. Whether you're watching on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or I don't know, I'm here to talk about something, and that is whether this here, England, is a Christian country. Let me tell you something. I was on a protest last weekend, one of many protests that I've been on in my time. I've been protesting for a while now. And let me show you the sign that I was holding. Wait, where is it? Oh my gosh. My room is such a mess. It says "Stop the blokes," and I got a lot of compliments for my sign. But to be honest, I stole this idea from somebody else. As you know, usually that is what happens. Every protest I go on, I'm like, "What unique and witty sign can I come up with this time?" And usually, I just pinch somebody else's idea. So sorry about that. Actually, on the back, I'm hoping that this is a unique one, but I looked up quotes about fascism, and this is one that I found. In every age, it has been the tyrant who has wrapped himself in the cloak of patriotism. The only thing is, it's a bit long, isn't it? And you can't really read it from a distance. So that just kind of gets to the point. Stop the blokes. It's funny because the anti-immigration protesters usually have a sign that says "Stop the boats." Stop the boats, stop the blokes. If you're not familiar with English slang, then blokes just means gentlemen. It means, males. It means, I don't know. I feel like blokes is like a particular type of man. And then there's a very classic sign that I've been taking to protests for years, and it's really, stood the test of time. Will trade racists for refugees. Oh my God, does this one make me chuckle? On the back right now, I changed the back of this one depending on where I'm going and stuff, because originally this one was used much more locally in Weymouth and Portland. So it did have a thing about Weymouth and Portland welcoming immigration or refugees or whatever it said. And this time it's Bournemouth, because the focus has shifted over to Bournemouth, which is where I grew up. So it's still like a local town to me. And it's just down the road from Weymouth. So Bournemouth welcomes immigration. It always has done. It always will. You can't stop us. It's a kind of magical thing to do. I think that protests are incredibly magical, and that you're creating change in accordance to will. You're using your willpower to exert. This is what I want. This is what I want to change. This is what we believe in. We believe in love and peace and compassion and empathy and welcoming people and love thy neighbor, and actually a lot of Christian values, I think you'll find.
Refugees are welcome here! Refugees are welcome here!
Somebody just started calling me while I was recording this video. I hate that. Please don't call me. Just send me a message and then I'll reply later when it's convenient. Don't call me and interrupt what I'm doing. I literally, if I could disable the ability for people to call me, maybe I can. If you're good at technology, let me know how that actually works, because I don't ever want to receive a phone call from anyone. just text me. Hello, help, I'm dying. And I'll come to the rescue. I promise. A lot of these anti-immigration protests, they have this thing about claiming to be Christian, and they have a tendency to carry crosses, big wooden crosses, which is weird, creepy, and reminds you of the KKK. Actually, in Bournemouth, they planted a giant wooden cross in the ground, and they were like, "This is a Christian country, and we won't have any of those Islamic invaders." And it was like, guys, do you know what you're doing right now is basically the KKK. Also, one of the guys that organizes this kind of Islamophobic sort of hatred is what am I saying? He basically posted something online, one of these AI generated images. They always post AI generated images. That was basically a cross on fire, with like men surrounding it and saying something about it. This is a Christian country. And it's like, do you understand like the imagery that you're using? Like burning crosses is what the KKK did. And they're the ones who went around terrorizing people that they didn't want in their country. Like you are literally the KKK. And the KKK are based off of Nazis. They're literally Nazis, from World War II, that type of Nazi, like literally Nazis. And KKK comes from a Nazi slogan, which was women, what's it called? Church, kitchen, children. That's what the KKK stands for in German. Church, kitchen, children. Was supposed to be like this kind of thing that, women know your place. You're at church, or you're in the kitchen, or you're looking after your children. Those are the only places that are acceptable for women. And so they're also misogynists. Yeah, who would have thought? The racists are also misogynists. It kind of goes hand in hand. And in Taunton last weekend, Paul Golding, who is or was the leader of a fascist group called Britain First, who have been done for like terrorism, like hate crimes. He was supposed to show up in Taunton and lead this march of hateful people through the town, and he's a man who has a history of violence against women, and then they go around going, "Oh, we're here to protect women and children from the Muslimics, from the Muslimic invaders," and it's like, guys, you're the ones that we're scared of. You, the blokes. You're the ones that are hitting women, abusing children, abusing drugs and alcohol as well. And then you turn around and say, "This is a Christian country. This is a Christian country." You don't know the first thing about Christianity. First of all, I think you'll find if you love Jesus so much, what did Jesus say about foreigners? What did Jesus say about immigration? What did Jesus say about refugees? You might want to check that one. You might want to actually read your Bible, because it sounds like you haven't actually read it. And that is the most frustrating thing. Like hypocritical Christians who have evidently not even read their own holy book, and then want to tell you how Christian they are and demand that you worship their God. And it's just kind of mind-blowing how hypocritical it is. And like if you were actually Christian, in my opinion, a Christian is somebody who follows the teachings of Jesus, right? Okay. That's my kind of idea of what a Christian is. And if you read the teachings of Jesus in the Gospels, he's all about love and peace and charity and sell all your possessions and give them to the poor and look after the orphans and the widows and the foreigners who are traveling, and the poor people, the sick people, the elderly, the disabled. Like that's what he was all about, helping people. That was his general kind of teaching, that general idea, apart from all the apocalyptic stuff and zombies or whatever it was, people rising out of the grave and all that stuff. Apart from that, it was just generally about being nice to people. And it seems like all of these sort of Christo-fascist anti-immigration people have completely lost the plot. And they say, "Oh, this is a Christian country. This is a Christian country." This says who? Says who? What? Just because we've got a Church of England? Yeah, we've got a Church of England. There's also a lot of other different religions as well, I think you find. And there are legends about when Christianity arrived on our shores. There's some very fun and interesting legends, actually. a lot of legends that are connected to Glastonbury, which is why Glastonbury in Somerset is such a fun and interesting place full of folklore. And the story goes that Joseph of Arimathea, who was supposed to be like the guy who owned the plot where Jesus was buried or entombed, where he entered the cave, that was Joseph of Arimathea who arranged that whole thing. So he's kind of a key player in the whole resurrection game. Whatever actually happened there, we don't know, you know. I watch a lot of videos on YouTube that talk about the historic accuracy of Bible stories and myths, and how much, you know, evidence we actually have and how much of it was just pure myth. Very fucking fascinating. I love it. I love studying religion. I love learning all of the background, all of the layers, all the different versions of Christianity that have existed over time, and realizing that there is no like one true Christianity. There are so many millions of different ways of interpreting the teachings of Jesus. And I imagine that if this story about Joseph of Arimathea was true, that he arrived here in England, and they say that he sailed through the Mediterranean with some other people as well. Not sure who exactly. Yeah, people say that Joseph of Arimathea may have had various family members of Jesus in the boat with him. Some people say that Jesus had a wife and kids and that they were in the boat as well. Who knows? Who knows? Very mysterious. Anyway, so whoever it was that came along with him, they sailed through the Mediterranean, and they went towards Cornwall, and they say that probably he sailed along the top of Cornwall and Devon towards Glastonbury somehow, and just sailed right on in there somehow. Because there's a lot of wetland around that area that, you know, at one point it would have been easy enough to just sail all the way down to Glastonbury, because it was all just sort of watery, flooded land. So I don't know. Who knows whether that legend is true or not? It could be. It could be. Who knows? But early Christians would have arrived in Britain. I'm holding this like it's a microphone. Drink. Early Christians would have arrived in a pagan Britain, which was Celtic paganism. We could call it that, but it's not like a thing. What I'm trying to say is that there was no sort of unified, uniform religion of Celtic people. There was no like uniform Celtic people. There were many, many, many different Celtic tribes who all had their own little unique beliefs and practices and dialects and gods and spirits and things like that. So, you know, it was like a hugely diverse group. And the only reason that they grouped together is because they spoke like similar languages and had, you know, a few other similarities in the way that they did things. So anyway, Britain was just, you know, full of these kind of tribal people who had their kind of animistic, polytheistic kind of belief system. And I think that if a bunch of Christians had arrived at that time and said, hey, you know, we're here, do we speak the same language? I don't know. It would have taken a while for them to learn the same language, right? But but at some point they would have learned to communicate and say, hey, you know, we're Jesus followers. Yeah, we're here because we follow Jesus. And the early form of Christianity, I think, would have been kind of like little communities, like a you could say like communism, in the sense that they shared everything between them, and they just lived in a little community where everything was communal, and it was kind of like a monastic life, like a little monastery. And that the whole idea was that they just closed themselves off from the rest of the world and lived in their own little bubble of purity. And then they had like wandering evangelists, people who are spreading the good news of Jesus to other people and spreading the gospel. And so, what would the pagans have thought of that? Pagan, being a term that was kind of concocted to mean basically non-Christian people. And what would they have thought of the Gospels and the stories of Jesus? They would have probably thought, hey, this guy sounds a lot like one of our gods, he could be some kind of god. Yeah, sure, why not add him to the pantheon? Like he was just a normal pagan god to them. And then the Christians were saying, no, you need to stop worshipping all the other gods and just focus on Jesus, nobody else, just Jesus. And I'm sure that would have been quite a weird concept at the time. Like, oh, okay, like henotheism, when you just focus on one god. You still believe that other gods exist, but you're just focusing all of your attention on one god. That's basically the kind of idea, I believe, that would have been spread during that early time, and Britain would have had its own unique version of Christianity back then. But when are we talking? Okay, a couple of thousand years ago, kind of, roughly. I don't know, maths. But before then, there was plenty of other types of religion and spirituality, and there's no law that says that Britain or England has to be a particular religion. And I think it's really important to defend our rights to practice any religion that we damn well please. And the whole idea of this is a Christian country is absolute fucking nonsense. Fuck off. And look, if you want to practice your religion, if you want to be Christian, go for it. Go for it. Just allow other people the freedom to choose for themselves, if you don't mind. I mean, I don't think there's anything in the Gospels that says you should force other people to join your religion against their will. I don't think so, actually. I don't think there's anything that says that you should kill people for not belonging to your religion, or that you should reject them or whatever. I'm pretty sure it says just be nice to everyone. So that's my rant. That's my rant about the Christians. Actually, one of our local witchy shops in Bournemouth, Anathema, it's called. I've always been calling it anathema, because to me, I think that's how the word is pronounced, but they call it anathema. Anyway, however you pronounce that word, it's a great shop. It's in Boscombe in the Royal Arcade, which is a part of Bournemouth, and it's just a cute little shop. It's a very small shop, but once a month they put on a really cool market in the arcade, in like a shopping centre. It's like a very old-fashioned Victorian era shopping centre. I think it's Victorian or Edwardian or whatever. But anyway, it's gorgeous, and the monthly market is a lot of fun. But they keep getting harassed by Christians and people showing up with crucifixes or crosses, or just wooden crosses, I think it is. Crucifix is like more Catholic, isn't it? And we don't really get that many Catholics in this country. It's more Protestants. And I think these particular types are going to be like the evangelical type of Christian. So I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't want to lump all Christians in together to say that they're all the same. They're not, obviously. There's loads of different types of Christian. And I think, if you are somebody who actually follows the words and teachings of Jesus, then you're going to be a nice person, I would think. And I think like the proof is in the pudding, all right? If your actions should speak louder than words. If you're doing good deeds, you're helping people, you're being charitable, then good job, then I think that you're being a good Christian. The same if you're Muslim or Sikh or whatever other religion. If you're doing charitable things, helping people, then good job. You're doing your religion right, because I think that's the whole fucking point of religion, is that you get a group of people together and you say, let's help each other, not just each other, but the wider community. Let's help everyone. Let's welcome everyone in and be charitable and be hospitable and generous, and give food to anyone who needs it, and just fill the world full of kindness and love. And I think if that's what you're doing with your religion, then good for you. You're doing it right. Thank you very much. That's the one good thing about religion, is that it can promote these actions, and if you're doing good things, then that's all I actually give a shit about, to be honest. All your other beliefs, not really relevant to me. Not really bothered. I mean, obviously, I do care about how you treat women, how you treat LGBTQ, how you treat whatever different marginalized groups. I don't want you to be racist, and I don't want you to be homophobic or misogynist or anything else like that. I just want you to be nice to people. Just be nice, kind, and generous to people. And then you're doing a good job, That's just. Surely we can all just agree on those basic things. Surely. If everyone just agrees on the basics of just be kind and generous and lovely to each other, then we shouldn't have any problems. And we shouldn't be worried about multiculturalism, and we shouldn't be worried about the Muslims, because if we're all just practicing kindness, then there's not a problem at all. Okay, so all of this, the fascism, basically Christo-fascism, is just exactly the same as the Islamic fascism that they're complaining about, and all the other types of fascism in the world. They're all basically the same, and they all like to use religion as an excuse for their behavior. And they go, "Oh, this is the traditional way of doing things, and we have gender roles, and we restrict you, your sexual behavior, and you shouldn't do this, and you shouldn't do that." And they all use the same excuse of religion to justify their hateful behavior, which is just sick and perverse and ridiculous. And, you can't be a Christian criticizing Muslims and then go and do the same thing as like what Afghanistan is doing right now to people. Turn around and just be like, "Oh, actually, we just want a Christian version of that. And we think all women should stay at home, cover up, obey their husbands, and you're not allowed to be gay or trans or anything else." Like, so basically you're the ones who want to be a Christian version of the Taliban. That's what you want. You, the Christo-fascist. As if the Christian fascists are watching my video. Yeah, right. But they want the same things, don't they? These misogynists. And I think, in my honest opinion, all of the Abrahamic religions have this misogyny in them, that they are patriarchal religions, and they all have the same basic ideas about oppressing women and oppressing people based on gender and sexuality, which I'm opposed to. Surprise, surprise. So that's why I go on these protests. That's why it's really important to me. And that's why I really do believe in the magic of protest, because I think just going out there as a group of people, raising that energy, raising the consciousness, spreading that vibration, whatever, good vibes. And the message is always, positive message that we want love and tolerance, peace and kindness. But there's always an edge to it. There's got to be an edge. There's got to be a brutal line where you say, "We will not tolerate fascists. We will not tolerate racists. We will not tolerate misogynists or homophobes, etc., etc." There's got to be a line somewhere where you say, "That's enough. What you're doing is hateful. What you're doing is fucking evil, and it's not welcome." So there's this principle in magic, for magic and sorcery and witchcraft, that in order to bless, you have to know how to curse or hex or do baneful magic, because they're two sides of the same sword. Is that the analogy? Two sides of the same sword, is that what it's called? Anyway, there's good and bad, and they balance each other in the sense of you can't create love and peace without also having that hard edge against the hate and the abuse. You've got to draw the line and be firm about that. And um, that's what all of the baneful magic and working is all about. It's about identifying the wrongdoer, the person who's creating the harm, the person who's doing the hateful behaviors, and stopping them from doing that hateful shit, forcefully stopping them. And that is required. That balance is required. And I think most magical practitioners will understand and agree with that. There are some that have other ideas, but I think that is like generally accepted as the way that it works. And that's a large part of like Hermetic philosophy as well. A lot of magical practitioners will refer back to Hermeticism, which is a kind of body of philosophy which kind of predates Christianity. Yeah, yeah, it was around like just before Christianity, but it was rising during the same kind of era, basically, as a kind of belief system that spread through like the Greek-speaking world. I could go into a long history about that, but this is just like an area that I'm fascinated by. The rise of Christianity, the rise of Hermeticism, all of these different philosophies in that kind of part of the world, spreading through the Mediterranean into Europe. And then also, I'm very, very fascinated by all the different types of spirituality that existed before those Mediterranean religions spread up towards the northwest coast of Europe. So there's a lot to learn about and a lot to be fascinated by. And there's only so much attention that you actually have, to be able to focus on different things. So everyone's got to choose a niche, basically, is what I'm saying. You can't know everything about everything. If you try and know everything about everything, you're just going to end up knowing not very much about anything because you can't retain that much information.
Refugees are welcome here. Refugees are welcome here. Refugees are welcome.
I also want to share with you this welcome sign that local people made for the asylum seekers when they were first transported to Portland. Sorry, I'm laughing because it's just such a crazy thing that happened. It was really crazy. Basically, that how asylum seekers are usually placed in hotels dotted around the country, and then the government got this clever idea of like, oh, let's take them out of the hotels and put them all on a barge docked in Portland Port, which was a horrible idea. Horrible idea. Another horrible idea they've had is putting them in like ex-military bases. Fucking horrendous. Let me tell you, horrendous. I literally went to the House of Parliament. I went to Parliament to talk to politicians. Me, I went to Parliament to talk to politicians about the treatment of asylum seekers. And basically, there was a study done by Doctors Without Borders. What's it called in French? Médecins Sans Frontières, something like that. And they'd done this study on the military bases that have been used as temporary housing for asylum seekers, and the horrific conditions that people are living under in those situations. There was a big long report, and we also compiled a report about the conditions on the barge in Portland, and it's not good, guys. It's not good. The government and the media will tell you like, oh no, this is all really good. This is a great idea. What we should do is we should coop people up in these locations and kind of like create a kind of prison-like environment, because we should treat them as criminals for the fact that they've claimed asylum, Why does the government and the media so intent on treating asylum seekers as criminals? They have not broken the law. They are not criminals. They have not been charged with any crime. All they've done is asked for permission to live in this country. Permission. They are requesting a refugee status, which grants them the legal permission to be in this country, to be working and renting, etc., etc. Anyway, we wrote this great big message, collection of messages to the guys that were being sent over to Portland. And I want to read this one letter from the Church of England. Big up Christianity. And this is from the Diocese of Salisbury. Thank you, Salisbury. Okay. On behalf of the Church of England parishes in this area, I welcome you. You have been in our prayers and will remain so. I know the churches of Weymouth and Portland will give you a warm welcome and do all they can in partnership with others to make your stay as humane as possible. Jesus was a refugee and received the care of others. He also spoke about welcoming the stranger in our midst and loving one another. He washed the feet of others as the servant of all. We seek to bring this ministry to you. Yeah, guys, Jesus was a refugee. So stop hating refugees. It's not very Christian of you. I'm sorry, but it's just... I hope and pray that your stay among us will be safe, fair, and result in a just outcome to your application for asylum. Wishing you every blessing. The Right Reverend Stephen Lake, Bishop of Salisbury. Thank you very much. So that's what a Christian would say, actually. If this is a so-called Christian country, that's what a Christian would say to refugees and people who are seeking asylum, and to any immigrant coming to England or the UK, Britain, to anyone who wants to come here, to live here, to work here, to study here, to find love, to build a family, to grow old, to do whatever it is that you want to do in this country. A Christian would say welcome, actually. So, and I hope that pagans would too, actually. I think we should all welcome people who want to come here. Yeah, come in, welcome. I hope you have a lovely time. I'm surprised that you want to live here, because we people who have lived here a long time do like to complain about the conditions, and we do like to have a good old moan, and we're always a bit confused that anybody else would want to live here. But I mean, there are plenty of good things about Britain. There are plenty of good things, and I think sometimes we all lose sight of that. Sometimes we forget how lucky we are, actually. And true patriotism means loving your country, not just in the concept of borders and laws and rulers, but the concept of a landscape that has become home to human beings and to wildlife and to plants and to everything else. And that a real patriot is somebody who values the community around them, the land that they live on, nature, and wants to look after that, look after their neighborhood, look after the people and the animals and the trees and the birds. And that's, to me, like, that should be the definition of patriotism. But unfortunately, it has become massively distorted into something really quite vile. And isn't that sad? Isn't that tragic, actually? Yeah. So, hopefully I've inserted a few little bits of video of the last protest that I went on. I'm sure there'll be many more to come. There are always more. And I think it is valuable to attend these protests. So I do encourage you to show up to one as well. Bring your love, bring your passion, and bring your rage, because you need to be angry about the fact that there is injustice, and bring that kind of motherly rage that says, the protective rage that says, I will look after my community, I will look after my neighbours, and I will defend them against injustice. that's the energy to bring to the protest. And I thank you very much. Thank you very much. Leave a comment and have a lovely time. Goodbye.
Also, their attitude to women with Andrew Tate, their threat to us all. We saw this at Exeter Airport where they were screaming abuse at kids who are coming out to get on the bus. Our members are teaching just down the road at Cranbrook, those kids. They say they care about women and children. Today we've got Paul Golding, who beat up two of his last partners. We've got Nigel Murphy, guilty of harassment of women. The riots in 2024, where 40% of them were known to the police for domestic violence. The riots in Southampton with Henry Novak, where over half of the people who were nicked were known to the police for domestic violence. I can talk about the problems in Britain today, and we need to fight back on that. But what we need to do is move forward positively. So we're not just reacting to them, and I think it'd be great if we had some sort of positive, united show of anti-racist feeling, that we're not just reacting to them, but looking forward, moving forward together, so we can show that we stand for the anti-racist majority in this town and across the southwest. Thank you.